Thelma Cooper, and I wasn't born in Gina, but I grew up there. And Willie Clyde's her other name, by the way.
That's what they call me on the mail.
But she mentioned things that I had even forgotten about, and I'm glad that we're both talking about Gina then. But I think you all remember that it was a railroad community, and she mentioned the two sets of houses, and that was one of the perks if you were an employee of the L&N, Louisville and Nashville Railroad. You got free housing for your family, and there were two sets then of housing. One for the line that you mentioned that came from Greenback, and I don't know where it started from, but I know it came through Mentor and Allenwick and down around that way, and
He took the mail back to Knoxville, I think.
I'd say that's where the other terminal was, and then on down to Gina. And our house was one of three that was up, and this is not to say that one side was better than the other, but both sides referred to it as the lower side and the upper side. It had nothing to do with your status in life, but it was because the upper side was really on a hill, and then the lower side was parallel to the straight railroad that went straight from Copper Hill to Knoxville, as far as I know. That was and this other one came through Mentor and around this way, and but the lower side and the upper side, and we lived in one of the laborers' houses. There were two sections on the upper side, and then the two foreman houses were 2-story, and ours was the laborer. They were four rooms, and by the time that I lived there, and I don't know the particulars, but the company discontinued the railroad crew that maintained the one that went through Greenback track, and so the L&N Railroad offered those three houses on the upper side for sale, and my dad bought the one that we were living in. The people that were living in them had the option of buying the houses, and all three families did. And then I assumed that maybe the crew from the lower side, or the railroad people, took care of all of it. I don't know. That didn't bother me in those days. It doesn't really bother me now, but anyway. Another perk for the laborers was that we could travel on the train. We could go anywhere that those trains did, and we weren't limited to the L&N Railroad. The foreman could get us passes on any train, so that was a good deal.
Where do you remember going?
Pardon?
Where do you remember going?
Sometimes we just went for the fun of going for a ride on the train. We didn't have cars then. Cars had been invented. We're not that old, but we didn't have cars. So we traveled by train, and sometimes we would, because we didn't have to pay for any of it, we would catch the number 9 that came down, through Greenback and the depot at Gina, and we would ride to Copper Hill where there's a round table, or is that what it's called? Round table?
Yeah. Turntable or round table?
Whatever.
Roundhouse.
Anyway, roundhouse, yeah. Not a table, that's where we eat. But that was just a day trip that we took for fun. We liked to go around the loop, and that was about near Ducktown. But it was fun growing up in Greenback. And we had a cemetery too. Do you remember that, Clyde? Up above our house, there was a cemetery above the railroad.
I don't believe I do. Not no cemetery.
It's still there. They've not got it and gone. I never knew any of them because that was off limits for us. We let me see if oh, and you mentioned the schoolhouse. And my father went there. He was in the 8th grade at that school.
Tell us about your family growing up here.
Well, I had one brother. He's deceased now, but the upper side.
Better known as the east side.
You didn't look down upon others, though, did you?
We didn't have many children, the two of us, and some of you remember Phyllis Henry, and Doris Lambert, and Frank Disney. That was about, we were the children up there. But the lower side, oh, mercy, they had a bunch. And we had enough children to field 2 baseball teams. We had, it was real fun growing up in Gina. And we played outdoor games because none of our houses were big enough to hold all the broods that they gathered. And then we later, well, we always had birthday parties, and you didn't wait to be invited because somebody had a birthday, practically every week when so many people were living there. And then as we began growing up, we started having, we had parties, and people in Greenback or anywhere around, oh, the Gina girls are having a party, let's go. And everybody would go that wanted to. And by then, we had discovered kissing. Our games were
Playing ball.
Oh yeah. Much more fun then. But anyway, it was fun growing up in Gina, and I've never regretted, living in a little place like that.
Ms. Cooper, how about you? Not your professional career yet, we'll get into that later on, but you have memories of school as a student.
Well, my favorite teacher turned out to be my mother-in-law, but at the time, of course, I had no idea that she might, but she could explain things that some of us really needed a little extra help for, and she was patient with us, and she took us wherever we were. She didn't expect us to know everything when we started the class, and it was she was such an excellent teacher, a role model.
Was that Greenback High School?
Greenback High School.
Ms. Cooper? Impact of church.
Well, in Gina, the closest church is Pine Grove Presbyterian. We didn't have a car, so we just assumed that that's where we were supposed to go to church, and we did. And have a car now. Still go there. but I've been a member there for I don't even know how many years, but I joined at the same time that my parents did.
Okay.
But I don't remember how old I was or anything like that. And I still go there.
Tell us about your teaching career.
Okay. Well, I graduated from Greenback High School, and then I enrolled at Tennessee Tech University for 4 years, and then my first teaching position was in Brown County at Midway High School. I taught English there for 2 years, and then I came back to Greenback, and Graham and I got married, and I started teaching at Greenback English, and then and later I taught French also, and let's see, and then our daughter also went to Tennessee Tech University, and the first summer she was home, she wanted to go to UT for a quarter, just for the fun of it all, and I said, well, I'll go with you, so we both enrolled, and then I decided I wanted to get my master's, so I did do that, and then I taught at Greenback for the rest of the time, and I retired in 95.
I would like for you to tell me about your memories of some of the stores around when you were growing up.
Okay. Of course, the drugstore has always been there as long as I can remember. And next door was Long's Grocery. And the reason I can remember that, I worked during the 2 weeks while I was in college. I worked during the Christmas break there at their store. And it was just a grocery store and dry goods, whatever you needed, Long's would have it. And then there was a hardware store, McCall's Hardware, and it had changed hands different times. I don't remember. I'd have to think a while to think who the different owners had been, but chiefly it was McCall's Hardware. And then
Is that the one that's the museum now is located next door?
It was there, yes. The museum would have been Long's Grocery, and then the hardware was next to it.
Mm-hmm.
It's that shell that's there now.
Yeah.
And then across the street was, I remember that, I can't remember who was there before King's. King's had and it was a dry goods store and a grocery store. But, and as far as I know, that was the last grocery store we had. And then the used furniture store is there now that took that place. So those were the shopping places in Greenback. And there was a gas station that I bought gas there. It was a Pan Am. You remember that name?
I don't remember that.
Pan Am. It was just called the Pan Am.
Okay. Well, tell me your greatest influence in your life while you were growing up.
Well, I'm sure it would have been my parents.
And why is that?
Well, they were, I knew that they were interested in my doing better than they did. They didn't have a chance to go to college, and I got to, and things like that. And I never did feel that they were that hard on me. I know a lot of my friends, they thought that they had it too, they were being contained too much, but my parents were very supportive.
How many siblings did you have?
I had one brother.
Okay.
And my parents always supported the things that my brother Alfred and I were interested in, and I know they would have been tired of and they'd probably rather have stayed home, but they whatever we were doing, they supported us. And I remember that we had a skating rink over on 411 Highway, and of course they didn't skate, but we learned to skate there, and they took us I don't remember what day, it seems like it was a Friday or a Saturday, and they stayed with us, and not all parents would do that when they had things that they probably would rather be doing, but they supported us, and in any school activities they were there, and they saw that we went to church, and it was just, I know that they influenced me, and they knew that I wanted to be a teacher, and I'm sure that they could have used the money for other things, but they paid my way. I didn't have to work to go to college.
What motivated you and allowed you to go to college?
Well, I had always wanted to be a teacher from the time I was a child. I remember we would play school, and it was just assumed that I would be the teacher.
Really?
And I don't know if I would have pushed everybody else out of the way or not, but I wanted to be a teacher, and my parents knew that. And I'm thinking back, and I know it was a hardship for them to send me, but I didn't work at college. There are jobs you can do, but I didn't.
Where did you go to school?
Tennessee Tech.
Okay.
And then my daughter went there, and I thought that was kind of ironic that she had jobs all 4 years, and we were in a better position to pay for her than my parents would have been for me. But and I know that they did it without things, maybe new clothes or things like that, not the necessities of life, but I'm sure that money was dear.
Yeah, definitely.
It would be, wouldn't it, back when
What did you do for fun growing up?
Growing up,
Yeah.
well, I think I told you about the parties that we had.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, yeah.
That
Yeah.
was a lot of fun. And because there were so many children, we had outdoor fun. We
Mhm.
tag. I can't remember. Was there a game called Fox and Dog where you chased or that? That
had something
rings
to
a
do with
bell, but
fox.
I'm not sure
Yeah.
whether. But anyway, we did that, and then probably in high school. It might have been earlier. I don't remember when I. But in the summer, we went swimming a lot at Alcoa swimming pool.
Okay.
And that was always a treat. And I've always liked movies, and we could catch. We called it the work bus. The work buses were just the buses that took workers to Alcoa, to the aluminum company. But they ran at convenient times for all of us that like to go to Maryville to shop,
Okay.
or go to movies, or go swimming. You could at the pool. We depended on those buses, and that was a good thing.
Yeah. What has been the most gratifying part of your life?
Oh, I think, well, I had loving parents, and then a wonderful husband, and a precious baby daughter who is living in Salt Lake now that I've mentioned earlier. Family is so important if you have a loving family.
Yeah.
And I did, and still do. I still have my daughter and her family. I have 2 grandchildren that, of course, are the apples of my eye.
Right. So, what do you think your legacy will be?
I don't know.
What would you like it to be?
That I didn't do anything to hurt anybody. I know I'm not perfect, but I don't know that I have willingly ever hurt anybody, and by gossip and that's important to me. That,
Sure.
And I would like to think that my Christianity shows in my life. I hope it does.
Yeah. What are your best memories of being an educator?
Of getting educated.
As a teacher, what are your best memories?
It would be, and I'm sure I'm sharing some of the same memories that you have, of those students that really wanted to learn. And you could, when you see the light bulb go on over their head,
Right.
it's so rewarding, isn't it?
Yes.
And then, of course, you feel for the ones that couldn't quite get the light bulbs on.
Right.
But that's been rewarding to me, that my students have done so well, and so proud of them. And I love teaching. You probably did too, or you wouldn't be doing this now. And as we said, I always wanted to be a teacher, and I enjoyed it. It was rewarding.
What are your memories of Greenback sports?
Of sports? Oh.
Were you a sports fan?
Oh, yes.
Tell me a little bit
For
about it.
years, I remember the first year I taught was the first year we had a football team at Greenback.
58?
So that, the 56, 57.
Oh,
no,
okay.
Yeah. And 58, I guess but that was the first year that we had a football team. And we were all agog about that. You know, that was really something. And we did well. And through the years we've done well. And I've supported the team, not since I haven't been to a game since the pandemic,
Mm-hmm.
but my husband didn't care really about high school sports,
Mhm.
but my brother did,
Okay.
and so and his wife, and we went to all the games long after I had retired from
Mhm.
teaching, and he had retired from his work, so football's been really interesting for me since I was there at the outset of
Yeah.
the first team. And then we had, I went to all the basketball games too, and I was a cheerleader, rah. So
Okay.
those sports have been interesting to me, and still are.
So how has Greenback, how has it changed the most in your lifetime?
We don't know everything that's going on. We don't know everybody in the community because the community has grown too.
Mhm.
New families coming in, and but I think we're still small country people, and it's I guess by and large it hadn't changed that much really. Still have a few stores, but not anything that would impede the laid back country situation that we're in.
Now, did your parents, did they do any farming?
No.
Okay.
No, my father worked for the L&N Railroad all his life.
Okay, that's right.